The galaxy had never seen humans like this. Each lost alien fleet, each missing ship had only increased the whispers of fear and fascination. Now the Interstellar Council grew restless. Observers debated endlessly about the strange humans who moved through the stars with such ease, yet never sought war unless forced. On board the human flagship Intrepid Dawn, Captain Auric Ryland studied the star charts of the unexplored sectors. The ship hummed softly with the synchronized movements of crew and machinery. Sensors scanned distant star systems, energy anomalies, and unusual gravitational fluctuations. Humans were explorers, but they were also learners. Every challenge brought knowledge, and knowledge became their greatest weapon. Lieutenant Mara approached Auric with a datapad. "Captain, we have intercepted unusual signals near the dark sector. They are faint but structured. Someone or something is sending messages. I cannot decipher them fully." Auric leaned over the pad, reading the symbols. They were unlike any human code, yet patterns suggested intelligence. "Prepare a small reconnaissance team," he ordered. "We must see what this is, but carefully. Do not engage unless necessary." Meanwhile, in the Interstellar Council's observation station, panic spread. Alien fleets continued to vanish near sectors humans explored. Ambassador Thrin slammed his clawed hands on the console. "We are losing control. Our fleets are disappearing one after another. If humans continue like this, they will dominate unknown regions without firing a single weapon." Commander Liara, the calm strategist, interjected. "We cannot fight them conventionally. They adapt too quickly. Every engagement we have attempted has failed. We must observe, learn, and predict their movements, not force them into conflict." Back in the dark sector, the human reconnaissance team boarded a small shuttle, equipped with scanners and shields. Auric's orders were clear: gather information and return. The shuttle moved silently, passing through asteroids and drifting debris fields. The signals grew stronger as they approached a dense nebula. Shapes flickered in and out of view, massive structures hidden within clouds of cosmic dust. The team's sensors detected energy sources unlike anything in human records. Lights blinked irregularly, pulsing as if alive. "Captain," said Mara through the communicator, "these structures, they are artificial, but they are enormous, like cities floating in space. Yet I do not detect life forms in the usual sense." Auric's voice was calm but firm. "Proceed carefully. We need to understand this, not destroy it." Inside the structures, strange energy moved with rhythm, almost like consciousness itself. The shuttle hovered near a massive tower of glowing material. As their scanners activated, patterns on the tower shifted, almost acknowledging their presence. Suddenly, a pulse of energy struck the shuttle, forcing it into evasive maneuvers. Shields flared, warning lights blinking. "They are testing us," Mara shouted, gripping the console. "It's not an attack, but a probe of our capabilities," Auric observed silently. "This is how humans learn," he said to himself. "Every challenge is an opportunity." Back at the council station, alarms rang. Alien fleets had detected the shuttle and immediately deployed interceptors, hoping to capture or destroy it. But the humans anticipated them. Intrepid Dawn moved strategically, creating distractions, rerouting energy, and protecting the small team. The alien interceptors found themselves dodging, confused, and unable to match human tactics. Ambassador Thrin's voice trembled. "They are too clever. How is it possible that they predict our moves before we act?" Commander Liara watched the tactical simulations. "It is not prediction. It is understanding. Humans adapt faster than any species we know. We are the observers. They are the learners." On board the shuttle, the team reached a massive chamber inside the nebula structure. Energy flowed along walls like rivers of light. Symbols hovered in the air, responding to their scans and movements. It was a library of intelligence, ancient and vast, yet remarkably advanced. Lieutenant Mara carefully touched a glowing panel. Data flooded the shuttle's systems. Images of distant stars, alien civilizations, and unknown technologies filled their screens. Humans absorbed the information quickly, understanding patterns and interconnections that alien species had never noticed. Captain Auric's voice came through. "Mara, catalog everything. This could teach us how the galaxy's hidden forces operate. And remember, we are explorers, not conquerors." As the reconnaissance team worked, strange pulses of energy began to converge around the shuttle. They felt like eyes, countless, unseen, watching. Yet humans remained calm. using shields and careful movement to study without provoking. Hours passed, and finally, the team returned to intrepid dawn. They carried knowledge that could shift the balance of understanding in the galaxy. Arik studied the findings with awe. These structures, they are not hostile. They are observers like us, but far older. They measure, record, and test all who pass. Humans have passed their test without knowing it. Meanwhile, the alien fleets regrouped near the spiral edge. Fear had replaced strategy. Every species involved now questioned the wisdom of challenging humans. Ships were repaired and recalibrated, but the sense of uncertainty remained. Ambassador Thrin whispered almost to himself, "Perhaps humans are not meant to be controlled," but understood. Back on intrepid dawn, Captain Arik walked the corridors, observing his crew. Engineers recalibrated engines with precision. Scouts analyzed data streams. Humans worked together in ways that reflected trust, intelligence, and unity. Arik knew this was their true strength. Technology alone could not have achieved this. Only the humans' ability to learn, adapt, and cooperate made them formidable. Suddenly, communications from the hidden nebula structures activated spontaneously. The humans listened. A series of patterns, lights, and pulses conveyed information, coordinates, warnings, and history. It was a silent message, but humans understood it intuitively. "This galaxy holds secrets," Arik said to Mara. "Not all are hostile, but all are powerful. And if we are clever, we can navigate them safely. But one thing is clear. Humans are not just survivors. We are explorers, learners, and adapters. That is why no ship in the galaxy has ever controlled us." The stars stretched endlessly around them, filled with dangers, mysteries, and opportunities. The humans pressed on, knowing the galaxy was full of unknown challenges. Alien fleets would continue to watch, some with fear, some with curiosity. But humans were ready. They had survived where others failed. They had learned what the galaxy tried to hide. As intrepid dawn moved further into uncharted space, Captain Arik stood at the viewport, watching the stars. "We will meet new civilizations," he said softly. "Some may wish to challenge us. Some may wish to learn. But humans, we will continue. We will adapt. And the galaxy will soon understand that underestimating us is a mistake it cannot afford." In the shadows beyond the stars, alien observers paused, uncertain of their next move. Some ships remained lost, drifting silently in the void, relics of failed attempts. The humans, however, were unbroken, moving forward with courage, curiosity, and intelligence. Their story was only beginning. The galaxy waited, holding its breath. And humans moved forward, unstoppable in their quiet, clever way. The galaxy was growing restless. Alien fleets whispered in fear and uncertainty. Ships had been lost near the unexplored regions humans now traveled. And no species could understand how humans continued to survive. Yet the humans themselves moved with calm determination. They did not seek conflict, but they were ready for it. Captain Arik Rylan paced the bridge of intrepid dawn, watching the stars stretch endlessly outside the viewport. Sensors had detected an approaching alien fleet, larger than any humans had encountered before. Unlike previous fleets, this one moved with clear intent. It was designed to confront, not simply observe. Lieutenant Mara stood beside him, reviewing the tactical scans. "Captain, the fleet ahead is heavily armed. Their ships are faster than the last ones we saw, and their formation is tight. They clearly expect resistance." Arik nodded, his eyes calm. "Then we give them something they do not expect. Humans survive by thinking differently, Mara. We do not fight like them. We fight smart and we fight together." The alien fleet loomed closer, its ships shimmering with energy fields. Communication channels crackled with alien commands, incomprehensible to humans but full of purpose. They demanded surrender, insisting that humans halt and submit for examination. Arik pressed a hand to the control panel. "No, we will not surrender, but we will show them that humans adapt to challenges." Without warning, the humans executed a maneuver that caught the alien fleet off guard. Ships split into smaller groups, weaving through asteroid belts, radiation storms, and debris fields. The aliens fired, but their attacks were ineffective. Humans anticipated their movements not through magic or luck, but through careful observation and coordinated strategy. On board the flagship Orion's Edge, Commander Solara watched in disbelief. "They are predicting our attacks," she shouted. "Every move we make, they counter before we finish executing it. How is this possible?" Her crew was equally perplexed. Alien technology was advanced, yet humans seemed always one step ahead. They did not rely on sheer firepower. They relied on intelligence, creativity, and unity. In the midst of the battle, small human scout ships darted ahead, scanning alien vessels for weaknesses. Each ship relayed information back to the flagship, allowing humans to adjust shields, weapons, and formations instantly. Mara monitored the incoming data. "Captain, their ships are strong, but they over-rely on energy pulses. If we redirect our shields briefly, we can slip through their lines without taking damage." Arik smiled faintly. "Do it. Trust in your training, Mara. Trust in your crew. That is why humans survive." As the humans executed their plan, the alien fleet faltered. Confusion spread among their ranks. Ships collided with debris, shields overloaded, and command signals were misinterpreted. The humans moved like a single organism, each ship understanding the movements of the others without needing words. Back at the Interstellar Council, alarms blared. Observers watched the simulation with growing fear. "This is impossible," cried Ambassador Thrin. "They are small, yet they control the battle. No fleet in our history has done this." Commander Liara analyzed the data quietly. "They are not stronger than us physically. They are cleverer. They anticipate, adapt, and coordinate. That is what makes them deadly." Meanwhile, the human reconnaissance team had discovered a hidden pattern among the alien fleet's movements. Energy surges pulsed at regular intervals, revealing timing windows that could be exploited. Mara directed the flagship through these openings, slipping past the front lines and circling around the alien command ship. "Captain," she said, excitement in her voice, "we can isolate their leader. If we disable it, the rest of the fleet will lose coordination." Arik's eyes gleamed with quiet determination. "Do it carefully, but do it. Remember, we are explorers first, warriors second. We strike to survive, not to destroy unnecessarily." The humans moved in perfect synchrony. Scout ships distracted enemy vessels while the flagship approached the alien command ship. With precise bursts of energy pulses, they disabled shields and disrupted communication links. The alien fleet, suddenly without direction, became vulnerable. On board Orion's Edge, Commander Solara struggled to regain control. "Divert all energy. Focus on their flagship," she ordered. But the humans anticipated every move, redirecting their shields and using decoys to confuse the attackers further. The battle reached its climax as the humans executed a final maneuver. They created a loop of energy fields that trapped the alien command ship in a temporary stasis. It could move, but only within the loop, effectively neutralizing it without destruction. The rest of the fleet, now leaderless, retreated. Arik lowered his hand from the control panel and exhaled. "That is enough. We have defended ourselves, and we have learned from this encounter. No one will underestimate humans again." Back at the council, fear had turned into cautious respect. Alien fleets remained on high alert, but the perception of humans had shifted. No longer were they fragile, unpredictable creatures. They were intelligent, adaptive, and formidable. Commander Liara spoke quietly to Ambassador Thrin. "Humans are unique. Not in strength alone, but in their ability to learn, adapt, and act together. That is what makes them dangerous to underestimate." The humans did not celebrate victory with aggression. On intrepid dawn, Captain Arik addressed his crew. "Today we proved something important," he said. "Not that we are invincible, but that humans survive through intelligence, cooperation, and courage. We will continue to explore, to learn, and to protect each other. That is our strength." The reconnaissance team returned from the alien command ship, carrying data on fleet strategies, ship designs, and energy systems. Humans analyzed every detail, learning not to exploit for war but to understand and survive. Knowledge, after all, was their greatest advantage. Meanwhile, in the shadows beyond the stars, other alien observers took note. Some began sending covert messages, proposing alliances to study humans together. Others remained wary, unsure if they could trust a species that had turned every expectation upside down. Back on the human ships, night fell over distant planets. Crew members rested, repaired systems, and prepared for the next exploration. Mara stood beside Arik at the viewport, gazing at a nearby star cluster. "Captain, the galaxy is vast. There will be more fleets, more tests. But humans, we are ready." Arik nodded, his gaze steady. "Yes, Mara, humans do not back down from challenges. We survive, we adapt, and we learn. That is why no fleet in this galaxy has ever truly defeated us." And that is why none of their ships ever came back without understanding what humans are capable of. As the stars stretched infinitely ahead, humans moved forward once more, not as conquerors, but as explorers and learners. The galaxy had seen the first confrontation and learned something crucial. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their intelligence, unity, and courage made them a force unlike any other. The alien fleets retreated, regrouped, and reconsidered their strategies. Observers realized that controlling humans was impossible. Humans could not be contained or predicted by conventional means. They were a species that thrived on challenges, turned danger into opportunity, and learned from every encounter. And in the quiet hum of intrepid dawn, Captain Arik stood watching the stars, confident yet humble. "The galaxy is full of mysteries," he said softly. "But humans are ready for whatever comes next." The first direct confrontation had ended, but the galaxy was only beginning to understand humans. Their story was no longer about survival alone. It was about proving that intelligence, courage, and unity could surpass fear, firepower, and expectation. And the stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, stretching endlessly as if to watch the humans continue their journey. The humans moved forward, ready to face the unknown, learning from every challenge, and showing the galaxy that even the smallest, seemingly fragile species could stand tall among the stars. The humans had survived their first major confrontation, but the galaxy was far from quiet. Reports of lost alien fleets and bewildered observers had reached the farthest corners of known space. Humans were no longer a curiosity. They were a mystery, a challenge that the galaxy could not ignore. On board Intrepid Dawn, Captain Eric Ryland studied new coordinates received from sensors that had picked up unusual energy signatures beyond the spiral edge. "We've explored much," he said quietly, "but there are regions even older and stranger than anything we've seen. That is where we go next." Lieutenant Mara examined the readings. "Captain, the energy is immense but ordered, almost intelligent. It feels like a network, connected across light years. We've never encountered anything like it." Arik nodded. "Then we must approach carefully. These regions may hold answers, and dangers we have not yet imagined." The human fleet moved cautiously into uncharted space. Stars glimmered with unfamiliar colors, nebulae swirled like living clouds, and gravity wells twisted the paths of their ships. The humans were explorers, but their skill at navigation and adaptation had become their true strength. Each crew member knew their role, and the fleet moved as one, anticipating obstacles before encountering them. Ahead, in a dark sector of twisted stars and glowing debris, an enormous structure appeared. Unlike the ships they had encountered, this was stationary, immense, and alien in design. Towers of light and energy stretched across kilometers of space, pulsing in rhythm with invisible forces. "This is not just a ship," Mara whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "It is a city, or perhaps a fortress, but it feels alive." Captain Arik's eyes narrowed. "It is ancient, older than any civilization we know, and it is watching." As the fleet approached, sensors detected faint but precise energy pulses emanating from the structure. The pulses formed a pattern, almost like a message. Humans analyzed it and realized the signals contained data, coordinates, histories, and star maps from a time long before human records. "These signals, they are teaching us," Arik said, impressed, "not with words but with patterns and experiences. Whoever built this, they wanted knowledge to survive." Suddenly, an alert sounded. Small energy drones hidden in the structure's pulsing lights moved toward the human fleet. They did, not attack immediately but observed, scanning every ship with silent precision. The humans realized these were sentinels testing their intentions. "Prepare shields but do not fire unless necessary," Arik ordered. "We are explorers, not invaders. Let's show them humans can learn and respect what is ancient." Drones emitted waves of energy that interacted with the human systems. Shields fluctuated, engines hiccuped, and scanners were momentarily confused. But humans adapted quickly. Engineers rerouted power, recalibrated sensors, and adjusted shields in real time. Every movement of the fleet was precise, deliberate, and cooperative. Mara smiled at the displays. They are testing us, Captain. Not to destroy, but to see if we understand. As they moved closer, a massive section of the structure opened, revealing an enormous chamber filled with floating lights, patterns, and symbols. The humans interpreted these as a vast archive of knowledge, an ancient library stored in energy form. Arik understood the significance immediately. This is more than exploration, he said. This is a test of understanding, intelligence, and adaptation. If we learn, we survive. If we fail, we risk being trapped or worse. The humans deployed small scout drones into the chamber. They moved carefully, recording patterns and interpreting symbols. The energy pulsed in response, almost as if alive, adjusting the complexity of its tests based on the humans' progress. Each solved pattern allowed access to deeper knowledge, star systems, unknown technologies, and energy networks that spanned light years. Meanwhile, back in the council stations, alien observers watched the humans with a mixture of fear and awe. They are not merely surviving, said Ambassador Thrin. They are understanding forces no other species has touched. How can a species so young achieve this? Commander Liara nodded silently. It is in their nature. Humans adapt faster than any logic we can impose. They learn by experience and cooperation. That is why none of our fleets have succeeded in controlling them. On board Intrepid Dawn, the humans discovered a particularly puzzling energy field. It shifted continuously, forming moving barriers and labyrinths. Mara studied it for hours, observing patterns and fluctuations. Finally, she realized it was designed to teach spatial reasoning, problem-solving, and teamwork. Captain, she said, we can navigate this, but we must coordinate perfectly. Every ship, every drone must move together. One mistake and the field will isolate us. Arik nodded. Then we move as humans have always moved, together, smart and determined. Let's proceed. The fleet advanced in perfect synchrony. Ships adjusted their positions constantly. Drones relayed information, and every human on board contributed to the calculations. The energy labyrinth shifted, but the humans adapted, learning faster than the ancient system expected. As they reached the center, a massive pulse of energy surged outward, enveloping the human fleet. Images, memories, and knowledge from countless civilizations flowed into the human systems. It was a gift and a challenge, immense understanding paired with the responsibility to use it wisely. Arik felt the weight of it. This knowledge, it could change everything. But we must remain careful. We are not here to dominate, only to learn and survive. The pulse subsided, leaving the humans unharmed but profoundly changed. They had passed the test, proving their intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability. The ancient structure seemed to recognize their success, pulsing once more in a pattern of approval. Suddenly, communications activated across the fleet. Small messages appeared, almost like whispers, warnings of distant dangers, coordinates of safe passage, and hints of civilizations long lost. Humans absorbed the information carefully, cataloging it for future exploration. Mara turned to Arik, eyes wide with wonder. They trusted us. They shared their knowledge because we proved ourselves worthy. Arik smiled faintly. Humans survive, not by strength alone, but by understanding, adapting, and working together. That is why the galaxy has never truly controlled us. The alien fleets that had previously observed humans now faced new questions. How could a species so young survive ancient tests? How could they adapt to forces no one else had encountered? Fear was replaced with respect, curiosity, and caution, and, back on Intrepid Dawn, the crew rested, repaired systems, and prepared for the next phase of exploration. The humans had learned more about the galaxy than any alien fleet had recorded in centuries. Their understanding of energy networks, star systems, and ancient technologies gave them an advantage beyond mere weapons. Captain Arik stood at the viewport, gazing at the stars. "This is only the beginning," he said softly. "The galaxy is vast, full of mysteries, and full of challenges. But humans are ready for whatever comes next. We will explore, learn, and survive. And when the galaxy finally understands humans, it will see that we are more than explorers. We are a force that adapts, perseveres, and thrives. In the shadows beyond the stars, alien observers recorded every move, some in fear, some in hope. Humans had passed the first test of the ancient watchers, but the galaxy still held countless secrets, dangers, and trials. Yet for the first time, one thing was certain. Humans were no longer underestimated. The stars stretched endlessly, mysterious, and full of promise. And as Intrepid Dawn and its fleet moved forward, humans continued their journey, curious, brave, and united. They had faced the unknown and emerged wiser, stronger, and more determined than ever. The galaxy watched silently, realizing slowly that a species it had once considered fragile was now shaping the future in ways no one had imagined. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving, learning, and leaving their mark among the stars. The galaxy had never been silent for long. Whispers of humans' exploits spread across star systems, carried by travelers, scouts, and observers alike. Alien fleets were cautious now. They watched, calculated, and prepared, but no force had yet truly challenged humans' resolve, intelligence, and unity. Captain Arik Ryland stood on the bridge of Intrepid Dawn, gazing at a star cluster that pulsed with energy, unlike anything they had encountered before. "This is it," he said softly. "The final region we have mapped so far. Whatever lies beyond, humans will face it together as we always have." Lieutenant Mara studied the sensors. "Captain, energy readings are enormous. I detect multiple signals intersecting in this cluster. They appear intelligent, but complex, older than any species we know. This is unlike anything we have encountered, even in the ancient Watcher region." Arik nodded. "Then we move carefully. We explore first, learn second, and fight only if necessary. Remember, humans survive not by power alone, but by understanding, adapting, and cooperation." The human fleet advanced into the cluster. Stars glimmered with unusual colors, and faint currents of energy swept across space, twisting the paths of their ships. Unknown gravitational forces tugged at them, testing navigation and teamwork. Humans responded with precision. Each adjustment was communicated instantly, shields recalibrated, and engines compensated for every fluctuation. Suddenly, a massive structure emerged from the energy currents. Unlike anything they had seen, it was enormous, almost like a city, yet entirely organic in shape. Tendrils of glowing light stretched across kilometers of space, pulsing rhythmically. Energy fields surrounded the structure, shifting and flowing like water. Mara's voice trembled with awe. "Captain, it's alive. Or at least it behaves like it is." Arik's expression was calm, thoughtful. "Then we respect it. We approach carefully and learn what it wants." The structure emitted waves of energy that interacted with human sensors. Data flooded the systems. Star maps, histories of extinct civilizations, and coordinates of hidden energy networks. The fleet's computers processed it quickly, but it was humans' intuition and understanding that made sense of the complexity. "This is a test," Arik said, "not a battle. Whoever or whatever built this wants to know if we are capable of learning, adapting, and surviving. And humans, we will pass." As the fleet maneuvered closer, energy drones emerged from the structure. They did not fire, but moved like guardians, observing every action. Humans adjusted shields, scanned the drones, and moved in precise formations. Each action was deliberate, avoiding aggression while demonstrating skill and coordination. The structure then created a labyrinth of energy currents, stretching across hundreds of kilometers. The fleet would have to navigate it together or risk being trapped. Mara analyzed the patterns quickly. "We can do this, Captain, but every ship must follow precisely. One mistake could isolate us," Arik nodded. "Then we move as humans always have, united, clever, and adaptable. Every obstacle is an opportunity to learn." The fleet entered the labyrinth. Ships adjusted constantly, sending data to each other in real time. The energy currents shifted, but humans adapted instantly using both technology and intuition. Smaller drones scouted ahead, creating safe paths, while larger ships provided stability. The ancient energy responded, altering the labyrinth's complexity as if testing their abilities further. Hours passed as the humans advanced. Patterns became more difficult, yet every crew member contributed. Engineers, navigators, and scouts worked as one, solving the labyrinth through observation, communication, and intelligence. The energy pulses around them seemed to acknowledge their progress, shifting to reveal new paths and deeper knowledge. Finally, the fleet reached the center. A massive orb of pure energy floated there, radiating intelligence and history. It pulsed with a rhythm that spoke not in words but in understanding. The humans realized that this was the core of the ancient network, a sentient archive, observing, recording, and testing civilizations across time. Captain Arik approached the orb with cautious respect. "We are explorers," he said softly. "We do not seek war, only knowledge. We come to learn, to survive, and to understand." The orb responded with a burst of energy, projecting visions into the human minds. They saw civilizations that had risen and fallen, wars that had destroyed entire star systems, and technologies that had surpassed imagination. Humans absorbed this knowledge not to dominate but to learn. Lieutenant Mara spoke quietly. "They are trusting us, giving knowledge because we have proven ourselves worthy." Arik nodded. "That is what humans do. We learn from every challenge, we adapt to every threat, and we survive through unity and intelligence. That is why the galaxy underestimates us at its own risk." The orb pulsed again, sending waves of energy throughout the fleet. Systems were enhanced, knowledge integrated, and understanding deepened. Humans now had access to technologies and insights far beyond what any alien species could predict. Yet they used it wisely, not for conquest but for exploration, survival, and cooperation. Back in the distant council stations, alien observers watched in awe. "They have reached the core," whispered Ambassador Thrin. "Humans are not just survivors. They are learners, adapters, and pioneers. How is it possible for a species so young to accomplish this?" Commander Liara studied the simulation silently. "It is in their nature. Strength alone does not define humans. Intelligence, adaptability, and unity do. That is why no fleet has ever returned victorious. They survive because they think differently." On board Intrepid Dawn, the fleet began its return journey. Knowledge gained from the ancient core allowed humans to navigate previously impossible regions of space. They had passed the ultimate test, proving that intelligence, courage, and cooperation could overcome even the most ancient and mysterious forces. Captain Arik addressed his crew, his voice steady and proud. "Humans survive because we do not rely on power alone. We rely on understanding, adaptation, and unity. Today we have faced the unknown and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. Remember this, the galaxy may test us again, but humans will always rise." The fleet passed through the labyrinth one final time, energy currents parting to allow safe passage. Drones observed silently, then dispersed, recognizing humans as worthy. The ancient network remained, guarding its knowledge, but humans had earned a place among those who could understand it. As the fleet emerged into open space, distant stars glimmered with new possibilities. Humans had proven themselves not through force but through intelligence, courage, and cooperation. Alien fleets observed quietly, respect and caution replacing fear and arrogance. Mara turned to Arik. "Captain, the galaxy will never be the same after this. We have seen and learned more than anyone else, humans. We are ready for whatever comes next." Arik nodded, watching the endless expanse of stars. "Yes, Mara, humans will explore, learn, and survive. And the galaxy will understand that we are not to be underestimated. Never again." In the shadows beyond the stars, alien observers recalculated every strategy, every assumption. Humans had faced the ultimate challenge and succeeded where no one else could. They had demonstrated that strength alone was not enough. Intelligence, unity, and courage defined the true measure of a species. The stars stretched infinitely, full of mystery, danger, and opportunity. The humans moved forward, ready for the next adventure, confident in their ability to face whatever the galaxy might send their way. They had survived tests, conquered challenges, and learned secrets that no other species had ever understood. And in that vast, infinite galaxy, one truth became clear. Humans were not merely survivors. They were explorers, learners, and pioneers. They were clever, courageous, and united. And their journey had only just begun. The galaxy had observed, tested, and challenged humans. And humans had emerged victorious, not through weapons, not through aggression, but through the most powerful forces of all: intelligence, courage, and cooperation. As intrepid Dawn and its fleet moved into the unknown, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the promise of a species that would continue to rise, adapt, and thrive. Humans had proven that none of the fleets sent against them had returned for a reason. They were not merely beings of flesh and technology, they were thinkers, learners, and survivors. And the galaxy would remember them forever. The stars stretched endlessly around the small inspection ship as it drifted closer to Vera 9. Captain Alara Voss sat in the pilot seat, her eyes scanning the viewscreen, reflecting the pale blue light of the distant sun. The planet below looked quiet and harmless, but the reports the Council had sent made her uneasy. "This is Vera 9, team," she said calmly. Her voice carried authority, but beneath it lay a tension she could not hide. "Sensors show unusual energy readings near the northern canyon. Remember, this is an inspection. Our job is to observe and report. We are not here to attack or provoke." Her team of 8 humans nodded, their expressions a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Among them were Dr. Soren Hale, a scientist known for his work in xenobiology, Lieutenant Mara Kellen, a sharp and cautious security officer, and 2 engineers, Rena and Jorik, who had worked on some of the most advanced survey equipment in the fleet. As they descended through Vera 9's thin atmosphere, the planet's surface came into focus. Jagged rock formations rose from the ground, twisting toward the sky like frozen fingers. The human colony appeared modest, consisting of a few domes and metal structures scattered near a wide canyon. Smoke from small energy generators curled into the sky, signaling life, but not much. The colony looked almost abandoned. "Landing pad clear," the pilot said. "We can touch down." The ship set itself down gently, its anti-gravity thrusters creating only a faint ripple in the dusty ground. The team began unloading equipment, their boots crunching softly on the alien soil. The air was thin, dry, and smelled faintly metallic, but it was breathable. Alara led the way into the colony. The colonists, dressed in rough suits patched with fabric and metal, paused in their work to watch the newcomers. Their eyes carried a mix of suspicion and hope. Few spoke. One older man with silver hair and a deep scar across his cheek stepped forward. "You are the Council inspection team?" he asked. His voice was low and careful. "Yes," Alara replied. "Captain Alara Voss. We were sent to investigate unusual activity in this region. Has anything changed in the colony?" The man shook his head. "Nothing. Unless you count the Watcher. Strange lights. Shadows moving where no one should be. Some say it's nothing, others fear it." Alara frowned. "Watcher?" "The being," he said. "It lives in the canyon, observes, does not speak. But it is not like us. Not human." Alara nodded slowly. She had read the reports. They mentioned signs of an intelligent alien presence, but no one had ever witnessed it directly. She kept her tone steady. "We will observe carefully. Thank you for your warning. Please continue your work. We do not want to disturb the colony." Her team spread out. The scientists began analyzing the unusual energy readings, while the engineers set up survey equipment. Lieutenant Kellen and 2 security officers walked toward the edges of the canyon, their sensors scanning for movement. The first hour passed without incident, though tension hummed through the team. Then Dr. Hale called out from a rocky outcrop. "Captain!" "You need to see this." Alara hurried over. Hale pointed to a series of rock formations, arranged in a geometric pattern unlike anything naturally occurring. Small symbols were etched into the metal veins running through the rocks, forming what seemed like a language. "These markings, they are intelligent," Hale whispered. "Someone or something placed them here deliberately." Alara crouched to examine them. The symbols seemed to shimmer faintly in the dim sunlight. "We need to document everything," she said. "Do not touch anything yet." As the team worked, the ground beneath the canyon vibrated lightly. Rena, one of the engineers, froze mid-step. "Did you feel that?" "Yes," Kellen replied, her hand resting on her sidearm. Though they were told not to use weapons unless necessary, something is moving. The energy readings spiked. Machines beeped and flickered. Alara motioned for calm. "Everyone stay alert. Keep communication open. We do not provoke." For hours, the team documented the signs of intelligence. Strange light patterns appeared in the canyon walls, forming sequences that seemed almost like a signal. Rena theorized it could be a natural phenomenon, but even she looked uneasy. Night fell over Vera 9. The colony lights dimmed, and the shadows in the canyon deepened. Ilara called a meeting in the main dome. "Listen," she said, standing in the center of the room. "Our job is to investigate. We do not know the intentions of whatever is here. We must stay disciplined. We will not make the first aggressive move, but we cannot ignore the signs. Something is alive down there. Something intelligent." Hale leaned forward. "I have never seen energy patterns like this. They are almost alive. They react when we move. It's as if it knows we are here." Ilara nodded. "Exactly. That is why we proceed with caution. We gather data. We observe, we report. That is all. No rash action." Outside, the canyon seemed to shift under the moonlight. The faint shimmer of lights danced along the rocks, vanishing whenever anyone tried to focus directly on them. One figure moved silently across the canyon floor, unseen but watching. Sleep was uneasy for the humans. Every vibration, every flicker of light made them alert. In the middle of the night, the generators faltered. Rena ran to fix them, but the moment she touched the control panel, a pulse of energy shot through the machinery, knocking her back. She caught herself just in time, shaken but unharmed. Ilara rushed to the scene. "Are you all right?" "Yes," Rena gasped. It moved through the circuits. Like it was alive, Kellen's brow furrowed. "We need to stay ready. This is no normal environment. It is watching, learning, maybe testing us." By morning, the colony's residents were whispering nervously among themselves. The team noticed that certain paths and areas had changed overnight. Subtle differences in the landscape that should have remained constant. The alien presence, if it existed, was strategic and intelligent, not random. Ilara decided it was time to send a message to the Council. She activated the long-range transmitter. "This is Captain Ilara Voss," she said. "Inspection ongoing at Vera 9. Signs of intelligence detected. Further observation required. Requesting guidance." The response was delayed. Communication across such distances always was. In the silence that followed, the canyon seemed to grow quieter, almost waiting. Then the first clear sign arrived. A large rock, carved with precise lines and glowing faintly, tumbled silently down the canyon slope. It stopped mere meters from the human's feet. Hale examined it carefully. The carvings formed an unmistakable pattern, a message. Not in any human language, yet clearly intended for communication. Ilara felt a chill. "It's here," she said softly. "It knows we are here." The humans realized the stakes were higher than they had imagined. This was not just an alien life form. It was an intelligent, aware being that could react. And for the first time, they understood that their inspection might not be peaceful at all. The part ends with Ilara standing at the edge of the canyon, looking into the shadows. Somewhere deep in the rock formation, something alive and clever was watching them, waiting for the right moment to respond. And it would not wait forever.